All right, hello. Welcome to episode 20 of Mind Chat. This week I'm with Maria Cipollone and Rick Moffat. How are you guys doing today?
Good,
Great,
Colin.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for inviting me into your world. Maria, you can start off by telling me where I am and what it exists for.
Absolutely. So I don't know that it has an official name, but the world definitely has an official purpose.
Okay.
So you are in a world, the flattest world possibly made ever, for a group of eighth graders, ages about 14, 15 years old, in a school in the United States, Philadelphia to be exact. They used this world to specifically build scale model replicas of both local and international monuments, parks,
Mm-hmm.
etc. We, as part of my PhD work, as part of my dissertation for my PhD, we had them specifically replicate these buildings so that we could teach them about scale modeling and so that we could claim that we were specifically teaching them about ratio and proportion.
Okay.
So rather than, sort of building a demo inside the game for them to sort of pass through as others do with Minecraft,
Mm-hmm.
we had them actually use the materials in the game to, build proportions. So to think about, and what we're roaming around in right now is Love Park, which is a park in the central portion of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And it's called Love Park because there's an artistic piece out front that's, says love actually, and hence the name. So what the students were required to do was figure out what the dimensions of the particular building or park were,
Mm-hmm.
and then sort of test out different scale factors. So I have my height and width of my space. Should I scale it down by one half? Should I scale it down by one eighth? Should I scale it down by a 16th?
Mm-hmm.
Or some of them even did a scale factor of 64. But again, just taking a project that they had done in prior years with physical objects, um, and doing it in virtual space.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So was this during like a maths class, or was this an extra
sure
class
was.
that you did? Yeah.
It sure was. So I convinced, with great cunning and skill, a a public school in Philadelphia. Again, not chartered, not any sort of special conditions, your regular old neighborhood school, to allow me to come in once a week, during math class and to basically take over the class, both introducing the project and then building for 4 weeks. And Rick, it got so complicated at some points that Rick actually just, for the last 4 weeks, has just had to stay with me and swap worlds, every hour on the hour, sort of building it. And Rick, I don't know if you want to interject anything.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick. Tell me what your involvement's been like.
All right. This is. I was just trying to think how many projects I've hosted at Temple. This may be our sixth or seventh Minecraft project that I've been involved with, and I think it's the first one where we've used Minecraft DDU. Prior to this, we were doing bucket servers because it was easier to mod. Now Minecraft DDU supports Forge.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's the second one because we built the capital over the summer with the Minecraft Teachers Group. Um,
Mm,
that's using Minecraft DDU. And we were going to use Mistcraft to separate out each of the four classes and give them their own Mistcraft age to build in. But there was something with the new version of Mistcraft and our virtual machines that the VM servers really didn't like people splitting off into different worlds. And there was all sorts of lag. Maria was saying, like, we're getting kicked off and the
mm-hmm.
servers are crashing. The servers were out. They just couldn't. And I never did quite figure out what it was. So it was just easier to make a map for each class and switch it once an hour. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and in Minecraft EDU, it's really simple to do. You stop the server, you load up another map, and you're up and running in 5 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
um, Maria
Mm-hmm.
always says thank you 100 times, but the hardest part is just being in your office at the right time. That's really the
Yeah,
hardest
yeah.
part. So.
Well, and I appreciate it because it did require some babysitting. I mean, and these will all be good things that, will be included in the dissertation is, part of the dissertation, there's actually a whole nother aspect of it that we, may get a chance to get into, but for the practical purposes of teaching and learning, part of the dissertation is to begin to sort of reflect on what it takes to bring Minecraft into your classroom, um, And if you're going to, so we did give the kids, the students, I'm sorry, a pre and post test on the subject. So I
Mm.
will actually measure and see if they learn the subjects better as a result of having toying around with it in Minecraft. And there's already a lot of evidence that they seem to understand sort of, what we were driving at even better than they did when they first started I guess it was 8 weeks ago. I see you guys, and so you guys are near the Sphinx,
Mm.
and a group of two girls built the Sphinx. Now it's funny because the two structures we've been in, yeah, the Sphinx inside is pretty cool too. It's got some cobwebs. Um, and the two girls who built the Sphinx, and also the gentleman who built Love Park they were avid Minecraft players on their own. So they often got bored and frustrated with this world because they couldn't play PvP, which they
Right.
begged for
Yeah.
Right.
right every time. They didn't have materials available to them. They couldn't just mod whatever they want. They were kind of mad that the Sphinx's face. We had a long discussion about three dimensionality and how to make the Sphinx's face look rounded. And you saw a lot of kids helping each other, but you saw a lot of kids who play Minecraft a lot getting frustrated,
Right.
which was a whole nother part of my dissertation. Another major part of the dissertation asked if you bring video games into school, if you can even call Minecraft a video game, or a game world. If you bring game worlds into schools, are they as fun? If I force you to do
Right.
what you think is fun, does it sort of maintain that element of fun?
Yeah.
And the kids felt pressure. They did. They felt pressure, and they also the technological glitches really um, led to their demotivation. But nobody, maybe one or two students threw up their hands and were like, I don't want to do it. Everybody kept sort of giving it a go. And they actually said that if they had been given more time, their motivation probably would have been stronger because a lot of them, while there
More
were
time and
experts,
more freedom.
yeah, more time and
Yeah.
more freedom.
Yeah,
I
because
was
they
saying to
already
Rick,
right. They're the subject matter experts in a way when it comes to video games.
yeah, yeah, they weren't used to, and that was one of the points was to not give them a whole lot of or give them some constraints, not a ton of constraints. But also I think they got experience in how to pick something to build in Minecraft, and what it really means to build something to scale because they would go on YouTube or go on the internet and look at. Oh, so you guys are at Chichen Itza right now in Mexico.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Um, yeah, it
You
is
did a nice
really
job
cool.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, these guys again are avid Minecraft players, but they play Minecraft so much that they pick something that they were able to replicate. Um,
Right.
some of the weaker structures that you see are from kids who don't play, so they didn't have sort of I guess the experience to think
Yeah.
about what
Right.
it takes. And these guys really did, and they knew exactly what they were doing, and they picked something perfectly. They just wish they had a little more time to sort of do the details.
Yeah.
Obviously there's not a beacon in the center. Today they had said to me that there's a jaguar throne that's actually inside the temple at Chichen Itza, and they wish they had time to build that. So they wanted details. But the other sort of structures you see around you, yeah, Colin, like this one in front of us, this one is supposed to be, I think, another version of the Eiffel Tower, and you can see like it looks nothing like it,
I was thinking
because
it looked like Kuala Lumpur, the two towers in Kuala
sure,
Lumpur. Yeah.
sure, that
It's a
might be
neat building.
yeah, it's and again, like we didn't actually penalize them at all for, we did give them grades,
Right.
but there was no, penalizing for not having it not look like the
Yeah.
building. It was more, can you describe the process? Can you, talk about the scale factor and how you dealt with the scale factor? And then of course they would say, a lot of them took poetic license. Well, we put water inside of it. Well, is there really water inside of it in the real world? No, but it looks cool.
Did you have old school, as I like to call it, or traditional like activity sheets or
Mm-hmm.
documentation to go along with it?
Sure did. I
Yeah.
sure did. I know it makes a lot of people cringe, but and this was an observation, so I don't know if you guys are near me, but I'm sort of facing what's supposed to be the Burj Khalifa
Mhm.
in Dubai. I did give out worksheets.
Hmm.
The teacher I was working with she's not purely instructional based, but she also never got involved in the project. She let me lead the project, which was very interesting. But yeah, we did give the kids worksheets. They had to sort of write down the dimensions and work out, if I scale it down by one half, if I scale it down by one eighth. So yeah, there was some rote work that was being done.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the second step was to convert it into Minecraft blocks. If it's such and such feet, 1 foot
Right.
equals 3.3 blocks, that kind of stuff. So literally doing the math.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Um,
I kind of have to. That's you do have to marry the two at some point. you know,
Absolutely.
because our schools need it.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because that's what I grapple with. Like, today one of the classes wasn't allowed to do Minecraft because they hadn't done their homework. Rick, do you remember that? I had said, Rick,
Right, right, yeah.
yeah, the
I was
one
gonna
o'clock
switch a
class.
world of, like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the 1 o'clock class was bad, Colin, and they weren't allowed to go into Minecraft. So it goes to show you, like, it's still ancillary, right? It's still not.
Yeah.
It's not like she would never say, "Oh, they're not allowed to go into their math workbooks,"
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's the punishment. This is still a gift. And the other thing I was just sort of reflecting on is that they were having trouble. I think she was covering something like algebra, and they were having trouble doing it. And as I would do, she just sort of resorted to doing it on the board
Hmm.
with them.
Yeah.
And as much as we talk about experimental methods like using Minecraft, etc., and I'm a teacher too at higher ed. I mean, when my statistics students don't understand something, I go up to the board and I do it.
Right.
And it's like, as human beings, if we can't communicate something, we still go back to that. Well, let me just write it down for you.
It's true. It's true, and sometimes you just have to go back to it and do it.
Yeah, yeah. So Rick and I talk a ton about, like, what kind of teacher does it take to actually get them to use this on a consistent basis in the classroom?
Mm.
And a lot of times for the mainstream teacher, and I don't know if there's, country differences or international differences this way, Colin, but it's like teachers, she's a math teacher. She never would touch the game. She was like sort of too afraid to be bad at it in front of the students. Although,
Right.
I gave her a couple tutorials. She just sort of made it my project. She was like, "No, that's your thing." And
Mm.
really, I wanted her to be in the world with them, but she never got involved.
Yeah.
Um, and when I leave, she'll never do it again.
Yeah, which is kind of sad. And the kids,
Really sad.
the students love. I just finished up our Minecraft project this year, and the students love when their teacher goes into the world. It's so exciting for them.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And we did some work, and I'm gonna shut up soon, but we
No,
did
that's
some
fine.
work last spring, that with a partnership that Rick had. Rick's always helping people with Minecraft, but it was a high school in New Hampshire, and we had said to the teacher, how do you think of yourself? And he had said, "I don't like to be the seat of knowledge." And it's not like this teacher that I was working with likes to be the seat of knowledge. The pressure is on her to do what she needs to do and get these kids performing for high school and their standardized tests. Like,
Mm.
a lot of times she just has to go back to that
Right.
position.
Yeah.
And that means a lot, if we can't sort of shift at all, and I'm sure we will gradually. Minecraft still becomes sort of another tool that, yes, is really cool to use, but is it getting adopted? Um, Rick, do you want to interject? Because I'm
Um,
talking a lot.
well, no,
You can you can talk all you want.
uh,
Let me
it's
give
it's
Rick
hard to talk when Maria's around. She's good at it.
Yeah, it's
She's
very
Italian.
good.
She's waving her. I don't know how
It's
she
my
moves
thing,
around the
yes.
world when her hands. She talks with her hands,
Are
but
you
still moves the
gesticulating
mouse.
right now?
I don't know how you do it. It's
Nope,
good. It's,
not
it's
gesticulating, but I would be if I didn't have a mouse and a keyboard.
But it is like
Maria, you were talking about Chris Reeves, right, in New Hampshire?
I was talking about Chris, yeah, and
he
Chris.
he just contacted me. He wants to do another project, but I haven't heard exactly what he wants to do. I'm looking forward to it because he's a. Hey, Colin, I don't. I think maybe you know this from the Connected Learning series, but my day job is I'm an educational technologist, and I work with faculty to help them teach with technology. We run learning management systems and any ed tech that helps them in the classroom. So my Maria's working with students, but also sort of working with the teachers. I work with the teachers, and one of the things I wanted to do at Temple is I'm pushing the idea of a game center where students could come in and play. Just like when I went to college, we had arcades and pool tables, and I'd like a video game center because I think the students would I think the public space for students is a great way for them to socialize and do something that doesn't revolve around going off campus. It's a good anchor for social activities. You know, drinking's not involved. There's a competitive play, cooperative play. You can do intercollegiate stuff. So I think it's interesting for that reason. But I also want a public space for video games because I think teachers who don't play are concerned about looking bad in front of other people or don't know where to start. I mean, Jimmy G talks about all of this, but it's video games are so complicated and diverse, and they change so often that I don't know if you don't have someone helping you. I don't know how you would become good enough at a game or comfortable enough with what you don't know to try to bring a game into a learning environment and feel like you have some measure of control or effectiveness.
Yeah.
So I really want to have a student-teacher partnership where teachers can come in and watch over the shoulders of students as they play, and get involved in that sense. So it's it's sort of the flipped classroom idea. I call it a flipped game room, where we give kids who are engaged and enthusiastic and really skilled at a variety of different types of games to become the people that show the faculty and the administration what the value of gaming can be in the university space.
Maria and Rick, were you both like gamers in your private life? You're like, do you play computer games before Minecraft came along?
Absolutely, I've been doing it all my life. I've been playing computer games before there were computers. So I started out in arcades, with Defender and Asteroids and things like that long ago. And I had an Atari 2600 when they first came out, and then I took a break for a while when I was in college. Wasn't a lot going on until the Nintendo came out, and I went right to PC gaming. I've been PC gaming since 1992, somewhere around there.
Respect. I don't have a console either. I'm a PC gamer. So Maria, did you dabble with computer games at all?
My answer would be no. I'm not hardcore at all. I definitely had a Commodore 64 when I was young, so I'm in my 30s. That was like first experience with gaming. I think I grew up with educational technology. I think it was first unleashed on us, and I have a lot of thoughts about that, and I always loved it so much when we got to. So I did Logo and early programming with Turtle when I was young in school, and I loved that, and I always hated that we couldn't do that for real. But as far as gaming went, no. I mean, Rick knows that I'm like a Mario Brothers nut and stuff like that. I love to play games, but I wouldn't call myself a gamer. I don't play PC games. I never did. That's more sort of my husband's speed. And I hate to say it, but boys do. Boys sort of love that. And the boys in this project, like the boys geek out with me all the time. I have a few females that are sort of willing to venture that they love this, but they're normally the females that I'm told that don't participate in class and have a lot of social issues and maybe even have some emotional issues, although the females that seem to absolutely hate it in the beginning they're the ones that actually beg me the most to let them go back in, and whether it's for the fact that they're perfectionists and they want good grades, or the fact that they just got a little taste of it and they want to do more. A lot of females have been responding, but I do think that there's I still think that there's a lot of boys playing this, and I think that'll shift though. I think that'll definitely shift.
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting the whole gender issue with gaming. As I find the same thing with Minecraft is that girls haven't played it before. We do it in class, but then they really do like it when they actually get into it. But it's interesting that they don't have that tendency in their in their private lives to actually follow the whole computer game avenue of play.
And Rick, I know will disagree with this because he, I think, plays with, a diverse set of people. And I know Rick, your daughter, is a Minecraft champ, and she and you really bond over it. But I find though that the females that I had play were much more thoughtful about the issues that we discussed. Like I would capture them saying, well, wait, you can't build it this way, where the boys would be like super impulsive and build something huge and be like, oh, wait, that's not to scale. Whereas you would see the females being like, well, this has to come out diagonally. How do I accomplish that? And they were also much more willing to call a boy over and be like, you play this game. Show us how to do this. You know?
Oh, that's great.
So yeah. The other thing I just wanted to comment on, I'm sorry, I'll say this quickly. Rick kept talking about arcade gaming, and being slightly nostalgic about it, but also sort of talking about how the game center, idea at Temple is wants to sort of re-inspire that. And one of the things I really saw a lot is, Colin, these were classes of like 30 plus kids. Like, these were huge classes. I had a hard time doing observation because the noise was just uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were trying to measure with the dissertation was how much they sort of got inside the game world and like got immersed and sort of lost their sense of being in the classroom. And they said they didn't feel that way because there was so much sort of talking and synergy. But I think because of games like Minecraft, like, I've noticed that one of the things that motivates the kids to play it is not even so much that they could be virtually together. They love being physically together, watching each other play. So it's like sort of the arcade style is coming back. They're really motivated by that. One of the things they loved is that they sort of got to sit with each other and play together. And I would say to them, well, do you go home and practice together? Can you both go, like people with accounts, can you go home and go online and meet each other? Yeah, we can, but we love sitting together and doing it.
That's exactly what I want, the social space, the public space, because I think the stereotype, there's a certain perspective or there's I don't want to say it's generational, it's not that easy, but I think people have stereotypes about what video games are or can be, and they have no idea of the social component, of the skill component, and that's and I don't until you see it, I don't think you can believe it. There was just on HBO a couple nights ago, Real Sports had a real quick clip about the League of Legends finals in Los Angeles. Had 32 million people watching the live stream online. They rented out the Staples Center where the Lakers play basketball. And one woman on the panel, after the story was over, she's a journalist, and she said, but she had no interest in asking questions about it. She just said, but that's not a sport, that's a game. And she kept getting louder and louder as people wanted to say, but it's competitive, and there's practice, and there's teamwork, and there's all these people that are engaged. And she just kept saying, but it's a game. Like, that somehow meant we shouldn't talk about it anymore. And I think until you see it or until you try it, that switch isn't going to flip.
Yeah. And I think you totally missed that. I mean, I had said that yesterday to some people, that we want to think about these technologies in sort of a black and white situation, and video games are such a different medium, right? They don't isolate us as much as we'd like to think. I mean, it's not even so much the violence thing, it's that people sort of say to me, well, aren't kids going to sit at home or now they're going to sit at school and play video games and get even fatter? And
the New Yorker did you see the New Yorker piece about first-person shooters and the psychological work? I think I might have sent you the link, Maria.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Send me the link to that.
I will, Colin. It's about all the psychological benefits of playing first-person shooters, and about how the violence part is what everybody focuses on, but you miss the forest for the trees. There's actually a lot of it's beneficial for your mental health in some other ways, and they said we shouldn't lose that as we worry about violence. So I'll send you the link.
That's not obviously that's not going to be top of the news, though. First person shooters are beneficial.
It was a New Yorker, which was I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty big. That's expected.
It didn't get picked up it didn't get picked up in the evening news. That's
no. But if anything bad happens,
they'll be the first to blame.
It'll be the first to blame. Yeah.
Yeah. Until a new medium comes out that scares the crap out of them. But it's also, I mean, with Minecraft, I think it's I have to write about it a lot. And academically, it's very difficult to write about because it's very difficult to explain Minecraft.
Right.
And it's so, and Minecraft is an easier sell than the first-person shooters. And actually, Rick, there's a lot more definitive evidence of learning with the first person shooters than there is with Minecraft to date, right?
Yeah, because it's so new.
Yeah, it's so new, and it promotes a totally different style of learning. The first person shooters are more like brain training. They're almost the equivalent of like that souped up Lumosity, which is like that website where you can go and train brains to, not get Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever. But Minecraft, though, is an easy sell when it comes to parents. They don't want kids. A lot of parents say to me, well, I don't want my kid playing for hours and hours, but it doesn't seem so bad when I see it. Call of Duty is a much harder pill to swallow.
Yeah. So I wonder then, does that mean
Yeah.
your dissertation will be easy to defend or hard to defend?
I actually have a great choir that I preach to with my dissertation. I think the thing that is the issue is that. So one of the questions that people constantly want me to answer is, well, and Rick, I want you to talk to this too, is, well, do they learn? Are they learning? And the answer, which is so typical of a PhD or is to say yes, but it depends. Yes, they are learning, but they're not learning in the typical paradigm that we want to call learning. They're learning in a conceptual way that really our school culture is not comfortable with.
Right.
Rick, I know you want to chime in.
The world has changed in the last 20 years, and they're learning about how the world has changed, and they're doing it faster and more with more depth than the same faculty who are asking those questions about whether you're learning. They're learning something that's entirely new and I think incredibly valuable. If we place this much emphasis on teaching with technology, I don't know how we can ignore the technology part of it, the technology component that goes around with video games. I think, again, I'll say Jim G, again, hit the nail on the head. This is literacy. This is modern fluency. If you're not fluent in being able to move through a virtual environment and create and build and think in 3D space, and outside of the game, buying a game, knowing what sort of hardware you need, knowing how to install a game, knowing how to connect to chat, Colin, how to download a mod and pop it into the right folder minutes before you want to be online and be live.
Don't know what you're talking
how
about.
to do video recording, how to upload to YouTube, how to share those moments with your friends, how to do voice chat. I mean, these things that kids are learning, I see faculty coming into our lab and saying, like, they want to be the ones who make this all available and provide it. And I'm trying to tell them it's already happening. It's happening all around you. And you want to ease it into your class a bit at a time. I'm like, open the doors. Let them tell you how they want to do it. Let them tell you how they want to communicate. But there's Shane Asselstein, Colin, who you talked to a couple weeks ago, said he struggled with this for a little bit until he realized that if he gave the kids more control, his classes became instantly more successful. Not always successful. There's always opportunities to reflect on what worked and what didn't. But the kids were more engaged, and I think he feels the lessons are richer when he allows this sort of digital culture to complement traditional learning.
Two things I just want to add to that. One is that it's not, and I don't think you're doing this, Rick, but I often think, well, oh, that mean teacher, like, why won't he or she just, let go of the reins? And it's, as a teacher myself, it's not that you can't let go of the reins. It's really because you feel a sense of responsibility to them, and you definitely want to tinker with digital tools, because in the long term, that's beautiful for them, and that you're going to have so much more of a rich bonding experience with them if you help them build, the pyramid of Chichen Itza, and it could be so fun for you as a teacher. But that's a long-term goal. The short-term goals that are pressed upon you is you've got to get them to high school. You've got to, help them pass this test. So it's not even really that teachers are unwilling. It's that they feel like ethically, if they deviate from what's going to be expected from the student, that they're doing them a disservice. And I understand that. And unfortunately, the students I spend time with, and I don't know if this is true of your students, Colin, but they do still speak in terms of like, will you ask us this on the test? And, they're involved in that short-term struggle. So we really, I don't know, maybe we start testing people. Yeah,
If I
please.
could expand on that just a little bit, I think you're right. It's never as simple as this teacher
Mm.
is mean or doesn't get it or
Right,
is
right,
uninterested. There's
right.
there's a lot of complexity in trying to use these sorts of environments because you might have an administrator who doesn't support it. You might have parents who don't support it. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for teachers because you have a lot of kids in the classroom. You might have Common Core things you have to accomplish. You're
Mm-hmm.
judged on how well, so you've got to be really confident that what you're going to
Mm-hmm.
teach them, if you're going to use Minecraft, you've got to be really confident that your kids are not going to slip and you're going to be looked at as a bad teacher or somehow not
Mm-hmm.
doing your job. You're
Mm-hmm.
right. There's an
Mm-hmm.
ethical component to it. Um,
Absolutely.
and also, as a teacher, you've already put in an incredible amount of time to learn how to be good at your job. How much
Mm-hmm.
more time do you have in the day? You teach,
Mm-hmm.
you go home, you grade homework, you try and have your
Mm-hmm.
life outside of
Mm-hmm.
school. How much time do
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn
Mm-hmm.
to be good enough at Minecraft to deliver effective lessons? It's a real challenge. And that's why I want to make the public space where I think we can
Yeah.
shorten up that learning curve a lot by partnering teachers with students and
Well,
seeing
and
the
that's why.
possibilities instead of trying to learn it, alone at home.
Well, that's why it makes me crabby that um, higher eds are, university professors are not more flexible with it because they don't have those pressures at all. A tenure track
Well,
professor should be using Minecraft. So at higher ed level, you're welcome to bring innovations in. I mean, unless I'm wrong, Rick, I feel like you
I've
don't feel
talked
that way.
to a couple of teachers. The games committee that we're running, looking at games-based learning at Temple University.
Hmm.
Colin, we're doing
Hmm.
like a year-long project developing institutional strategy for games-based learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a number of people in there saying that they're very interested in what games have to offer, but they're very concerned that they'll be seen as the black sheep in their department and that
Oh,
it will get them in trouble if they experiment with games.
wow. So there's still
Yeah.
pressure there too. That's a shame because, I mean, I get hired as an adjunct to teach statistics. I could stand there and teach Chinese and no one would observe me. I just feel like, and that may be
I
an
think
institutional
I
problem.
think there are a lot of variables. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
It could be your administrator. It might be the class of students you have who don't respond to it. I don't think it's as easy as saying I do want to do it or I don't want to do
Hmm.
it. Every
Hmm.
individual situation is different. I think a teacher has to go, like you said, they have to decide how they can best instruct the kids who they're responsible for. If that's if they feel comfortable doing it with Minecraft, I think that's great. But if they don't, if they just want to use traditional methods or if they prefer on blogs and wikis or whatever other sort of ed tech they want to include in there, I think it's really important to say, this is my strength, this is how I can best help these kids, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so I've grown a couple of brain cells listening to you both, which is awesome. Which is
I'm sorry, you're in Singapore, and did you say killed a couple brain cells or grew a couple brain cells?
no, I just
It didn't come through a couple of times.
I grew definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
We obviously think about this a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
there's times, and I have called Rick when I've come home. I'll call Rick after I leave the study site, and I'm like, Rick, I have to like bounce these off of somebody. And Rick's exactly like me. He fleshes things out in many many thoughts.
Well, no, it's
Sorry.
yeah, it's great these conversations are taking place. It's a bit different in Singapore than America, but we don't. Well, an international school circuit, you don't really teach to an exam, but there's still the stress for the teachers to actually teach the curriculum. So I get where you're coming from, and that the maths teacher you were working with, Maria, I can see where she's coming from, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering when you were talking. Wow, there's a strange music coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's the full-time whistle.
Oh, okay.
But I'm wondering where if introducing a flipped classroom kind of concept can assist with teachers trying to kind of introduce games-based learning. If there's
Mhm.
if there is a Minecraft world at home that's available for the students at home that is like this one, let's say, Maria, that students can go and actually outside of class time kind of do their kind of work and the evidence of their learning. I wonder what would that take the pressure off the teachers to actually teach what they need to teach in class, and then have it do Minecraft in class sometimes, but then have this world that's available to the students from time to time. Maybe I'm not sure.
I think the students would love that. Yeah, go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
I know. I think, Colin, I was wondering, your kids play Minecraft in class, but do you have a server where they can play at home or at night or full time, or is it just during class?
We just did it for the last 6 weeks with grade 3 students, and we decided as a grade with this year's students to not have the servers open, so there's one server per class. Last year we had the server open for them at home. The way basically each year you have a different set of students, and you have to kind of gauge whether it's appropriate or what's going to happen when it's open at home. So we didn't do it this year, but I've been toying with it for the last year to have like our school server running constantly and just see what happens. But I am a bit cautious regarding that. Our parents are pretty cool and open-minded, but I really don't want to. I don't know. It's
there are a lot of variables that go into it, and I think I wanted your input because I thought I would love to do it at the university. We talked to Mojang at one point about some of the projects we were doing, and they offhand they said, "Hey, we've got like over 700 at temple.edu addresses registered as Mojang accounts, and so you've got a population there that if you threw up a server, you probably get a lot of people playing." And I thought that'd be fascinating to have that sort of online space. But I had the same concerns that you have. Like I can't be there 24/7. I can't monitor chat. What happens if an administrator who's not in favor of games happens to hear about something that happened when no one else saw it? Or briefing, or all the stuff that kids navigate online, and police themselves, sort of. But when it's an official sanctioned space, things get a little different.
And there's an argument. Sorry, go ahead.
I do want to get to the point where we have a university server, where people can play, but I haven't gotten there yet.
There's an argument for actually doing it, and basically because it's monitored in the sense that we own the space, and we can actually use whatever mods we have if we're using Bukkit server or whatever to actually figure out who placed what brick where, blah blah blah. So there's an argument, like our school is really focused on open spaces where we actually kind of it's monitored but not monitored, so if there's mistakes that happen, everybody's accountable and they learn from the mistakes. And it's happened, and I've evidence to prove that students that make mistakes, and we catch them as an educational establishment, then they learn from those mistakes, and they learn, oh really, that's not appropriate, huh? So and that's happened with our open classroom blogs, and our digital portfolios.
That's true. Social media, right? Yeah, it's the same risks. There we just had problems with the kids posting things on Facebook at a local school, and and I've run neighborhood servers for Minecraft, and we've had incidents, and they are learning opportunities, but I think it's different when you're including a lot of kids. There's challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I've toyed with it for a long time.
I'm looking forward to when we have inter-school Minecraft servers, because I see people using them in individual classrooms. I'm really looking forward to Colin hooking up with Elfie in Australia and Shane in Hawaii and us in Philadelphia, or even Maria just in between Science Leadership Academy and Meredith. If we could get them to do a collaborative server, I think there's some interesting possibilities there, especially get the Institute involved. Then things could really take off. But the collaborative opportunities, I think we just barely begun to scratch the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the an evolved kind of Skype conversation now. Skype conversations between classes are still popular and still awesome. That we can do so much more with our collaborative Minecraft worlds.
Absolutely.
So we're coming up to 39 minutes here. Time flies when you're having fun. So Rick and Maria, thanks so much for coming on board. The conversations, really got me thinking.
Great.
And hopefully it'll get the viewers thinking too. So thanks very much for joining me this week.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us, Colin. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the end of episode 20, and we'll see you next time on Mind Chat. Bye-bye.